I do faith and finance related content. And yeah, so today I think one of the things that God put in my spirit to share about is this thing called the pruning season. So I think when I first back a few years ago, when I first received Christ, I think one of the first few things that has always been coming to my head is this verse in John chapter 15 verse 3 to 4, which says, "You are already clean because of the word which I have spoken to you. Abide in me and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself unless it abides in the vine, neither can you unless you abide in me." So I think this verse has always been sticking out to me, from the first day I received Christ until now. And I think one of the main things is that God we all have to go through a pruning season. And usually the pruning season is the season where people tend to give up very quickly, or it's a season where you will go through depression, or you start to feel a lot of doubts in yourself, like, am I in the right track or not? And yeah, I think recently this is something that has also been coming back to me again. And yeah, I was like reading on it and studying on it, and then I wanted to share today about how to recognize that you are in a pruning season. Yeah, and so one of the scripture that I'm anchoring on for this video is also John chapter 16 verse 21, which says, "A woman, when she is in labor, has sorrow because her hour has come. But as soon as she has given birth to the child, she no longer remembers the anguish for joy that a human being has been born into the world." Just like how a woman who is in labor, during the whole pregnancy, there might be so much suffering, there might be so much discomfort, and all the, morning sickness and things like that, but at the end of the day, after all the suffering, when the kid is out, during the labor, labor is the hardest, it's the toughest, right? But when the kid is out, right, that is when there is a joy that is indescribable. And I know, so many friends that I've known who are mothers now, most of them will always tell me how tough is the pregnancy was, or how difficult was the whole labor, how long the whole labor was. But every single time they will always tell me that it's worth it because of the joy that the kid brings into their life. And I think that's something that also encourages me, as I go through the pruning season, and as I go through this long suffering. Whenever you are in a pruning season, okay, there will always be voices, or things or people that will come against you and will say things to you that, makes you feel like, am I on the right track? Am I doing the right thing? Why is everybody doing things that are opposite from me? I want to do this, but everybody's saying is, no, you shouldn't be doing this, And I remember, for the last few years, ever since I received Christ and, I started following God, there are many times that people are judging me, people are saying things like, you shouldn't be doing this now, you should be focusing on this and not on that. And I remember one of my friends even said things like, Christians are weird, you Christians are just weird. And I think at that point in time, because I was going through so much emotionally, I didn't take it very well, and I was very defensive. I felt very attacked, and I really just wanted to just close myself up and not share anything to anyone else. And I think the only thing I wanted to do was just to talk to Christians, because I think only Christians can understand me, and I just didn't want to talk to anybody that are not Christians. And yeah, I just kind of isolated myself at that point in time. And every single time, sometimes people might say something, but I might take it very personally, and I might feel very attacked, So at that period of time, I was really quite unstable emotionally. And when you have all these comments, all these doubts during this whole season, right, is to make you interpret your season of loss as the result of your failure and the Lord's abandonment of you. So there are many times that we might have gotten remarks like this, and it really, really question our worth, our identity, and it really makes us want to, go further away from God, right? You are probably in a pruning season. Yeah, so the first thing I did was to find the meaning of prunification. Okay, so there's this word called prunification, and the meaning is the act of removing harmful substances from something. Okay, so prunification is the act of removing harmful substances from something. Okay, and then during the whole, so that's also the reason why when God wants to do something in your life, he must always go through a pruning season, because he needs to remove things that might not be right for you. Maybe the people, maybe the environment, maybe a certain mindset, or maybe a certain way of doing things that he might want to change, so that when he gives you new things, when he gives you good things, you will be able to steward it, and you will be able to bring his purpose to pass. And that's why pruning is so important. Prunification is a very, very important, vital step in walking in God's calling. And that's also something that a lot of us don't like, because as humans we never like change, right? So that's prunification. So during this whole pruning process, okay, what will happen is that you will experience great loss, fear, disillusionment. A season of pruning brings a loss of finances, possessions, impact, influence, position, stature, relationship, or opportunity. So to be pruned is to lose the basis upon which everyone around you measures you as successful. Okay, various trials diminish resources and make secondary and less important pursuits impossible. Right? So during the whole pruning season, yes, I have lost a lot of things during the whole season. I've lost finances, I've lost position, I've lost I even had to sell my car, even my lifestyle, right? Even my lifestyle, I had to lose it as well. And I think during the whole season, right, it is very easy for us to interpret as, we have done certain things wrong, or, we are not a good person, that's why these things happen to me, that's why I have to lose all these things, that's why I have to restart my career, things like that. And truth to be told, during the whole season, that was exactly what I was going through. I was questioning myself a lot, I was doubting myself a lot, and so many times, just one remark or one comment from somebody will just get me going, spiraling down, and that is, how pruning season, how tough it can be. But I think once you know that, that is nothing to do with you, and that, God just had to do all this sifting in your life in order for good things to happen, then you will know that, okay, it's not because of you, right? But because of the calling that you have on your life, that God has to allow you to go through this process. Yeah. So just remember that, when you're going through this pruning season, okay, going back to the comfort of a risk-free life is not an option. Therefore, during the pruning season, it demands refocus without retreat. Okay? So the thing about us is that we really hate pruning, but we all want to have abundance. But we hate the process of losing things. Like, we all never love losing things. But know that, when you lose certain things, right, it means that God's going to give you back a lot more than what you've lost. During the pruning process, there are 3 things that are really, really important, which is obedience, patience, and perseverance through suffering. Okay, so these 3 things are really, really important during the pruning season, where we need to remember that, when you go through this pruning season, just be obedient. There might be times where, God asks you to do certain things, or God make you go through certain things that you really don't want to go through, but just be obedient and just do it. Yeah, so a few days ago, I was doing fasting, and interesting, during that day, I actually went out with my husband, and we decided that, okay, actually I knew that I went out, I wasn't supposed to be eating, right? Yeah, but I think towards dinner time, I think both of us were hungry, and then we were at Bugis, which has all the steamboat places, so we were so tempted to eat steamboat. So we made a prayer, and then we said okay, God, can I break my fast earlier? If I can break my fast earlier, and you allow it, right? Please, allow somebody to come my way to ask me to go eat steamboat or whatever. We just ask God for certain signs, and in the end, right, God didn't give any of the signs, so we know that it was a no. right? Yeah, and I think, of course, like we just obeyed, and we just like, okay, I didn't break my fast. I just carried on, continued my fast. And I think the most surprising thing is the second day, that the next day was the day that I started to receive a lot of new opportunities. I received new opportunities from God. New doors open just because I stick to the no. Yeah, and when I think back, right, on that day, actually me and my husband was saying, honestly, if we wanted to just twist God's arm, right, to make the no become a yes, right, it's very simple. We just need to walk down the stretch that has all the steamboat. And then naturally, then we will be able to pass by a steamboat area that somebody will ask us to eat steamboat. Those people giving flyers, right? So it's very easy for us to twist God's arm to make things happen. But I think the crucial thing about this whole pruning season is to be obedient and take no as no. Yeah, and that was also something that I had to learn during this whole season. Yeah, and also, the next thing that I was talking about is patience, right? Yeah, and I am also somebody that is very, very impatient. So this thing about delayed gratification is something that I really hate the most. Like, I just don't like it, because to me it's like, I'm always a person that, when I want to do something, I must do it now. When I want to get something, I must get it now. So when I was growing up, right, my motivation to work hard, right, really is just so that I can have a lot of money to buy whatever I want to buy now. Because I hate waiting. And when I was growing up, a lot of things that I wanted, I had to wait for it. Or like, either I don't get it, or I have to wait for it. Yeah, so I really hated waiting, and that was my motivation to earn a lot of money, right? So now I think about it, it sounds a bit stupid lah. You want to earn more money because you want to get things, right? Yeah, but yeah, I think patience is really, really crucial. And I realized the moment I learned how to be patient, the moment I learned to slow down in my life, there is a lot of clarity. There is a lot of freedom. I do not feel like I need to force a certain change in someone or in my environment. And because I don't feel the need to force a certain change, it gives me a lot of freedom, mentally and emotionally as well. And because of that freedom, right, I could allow God to just bless me suddenly. And God always blesses people suddenly, but most of the time, right, God couldn't bless us is because we are not patient enough to wait for Him, and we do not give Him the space to allow Him to do anything in our life. Yeah, so that's patience. And the last thing is perseverance through suffering. So perseverance through suffering, for me, I think is the main key, because like I said earlier, going through the whole pruning season, it is very, very tough, because there'll be more people who put you down than bring you up. And I think it is very important to persevere through the suffering, and to know that you're not alone in this journey, and that God is with you. Spend time in His Word, spend time with people who knows God and will be able to guide you and mentor you. And I think that is really, really important during your whole pruning season. Yeah. So the enemy wants us to believe that we need to have a routine or system before we can have an abundant life. But God says in John chapter 10, verse 9 to 10, I am the door. If anyone enters by me, he will be saved, and will go in and out and find pasture. The thief does not come except to steal, and to kill, and to destroy. I have come that they may have life, and that they may have it more abundantly. So it's through Jesus that we will have an abundant life. And He is our source, not our routines. Our routines, our systems are not our source, but God is our source. All these things that you are going through, right, it's not for nothing. God has a greater purpose for it, but we only need to be able to be obedient, to be patient during this whole season, and to persevere through the suffering. And when we can do this with the faith, believing that things will turn out for good, we will definitely come out victorious, and God will definitely be able to use us to achieve His purposes. And in Hebrews chapter 11 verse 1, it says that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So faith is something that you cannot see, right? But it's a belief. It's a belief that you believe that, I will be able to reach there, and I will reach there, right? So one thing about having the faith to believe, right? is that we need to be patient. We do not okay, so in the past, right, I always thought that having faith is just to believe that this thing will happen at a certain time, right? But then after so much, I realized that faith is not believing that things will happen at a certain time, but faith is believing that it will happen in God's time. And I think that is the most crucial thing, because when you can let go when the thing will happen, that is when you allow God to work in your life. Because you really never know when is timing. You never really know when is the best timing for you, because God knows the best. So with this, I think I'll just end my video for today because it's getting really long. Yeah, so I just hope that if you do get anything out of this sharing, I pray that you'll just share it with me, and otherwise do like and subscribe to my channel. So that's all for today. Bye.